आज फ्रेश लग रहे हो, आज फ्रेश लग रहे हो बोल रहा हूँ. बहुत बार ऐसे तुम नींद नहीं हुई रहती है लगता है ना. यस yes, good morning everyone. 9th April 2022. Okay, the Hindu newspaper will see important developments, and yes, if you look at the newspaper, so most of the articles they relate to the information basis. Okay, not analytical. On editorial page largely the relevant articles are not there, so that's why from mains perspective we don't have such kind of articles. Rather the information of some of the developments that are there, be it related to economy or COVID-19 vaccination is there. Okay, new schemes launched by the government. So we will take input for prelims as well as mains examination. So you can see the front page, all adults to get precaution jab. So here basically we are talking about the third dose of vaccine. Okay, so this will be provided to all those above 18 years of age from 10th April, from tomorrow onwards, at private centers. Okay, so the government is not going to play the role here, because yes, the vaccination strategy at present or vaccination drive at present is not being, we can say, emphasized. Okay, number of cases are less, so that's why. But in future, if suppose number of cases increases, maybe the government accelerate the vaccination drive itself, may participate. At present, only the private centers, they will provide this third dose of vaccine. Okay, so specific condition is mentioned that the earlier doses, the time period should be 9 months. Okay, the time gap between the second dose and now the third dose, 9 months they are saying. All right, the RBI holds benchmark interest rates. So we'll talk about that on economy page or business page. Later on we'll discuss this news here. Yes, Supreme Court upholds new restrictions on receiving foreign funds. On bottom side, the most important development from mains perspective, we can say GS2 paper governance part. FCRA, Foreign Contribution Regulation Act 2010. Okay, it was comprehensively amended in 2010, and in recent times in 2019 there was amendment, and which had some kind of restriction on receiving this foreign contribution on NGOs or the personalities. Okay, so those restrictions, some of the NGOs, they found that it is a kind of, let's say, unnecessary, the regulatory compliance, and that restricted the flow of foreign contribution or foreign funds to these NGOs, and NGOs complained that they are not able to work properly. ठीक है, तो इसकी वजह से उन्होंने एक सुप्रीम कोर्ट में प्ली डाला हुआ था, एंड ऑन दैट द सुप्रीम कोर्ट हैज गिवन द रूलिंग हियर. ओके, सो इट हैज अपहेल्ड द गवर्नमेंट रूल्स और रेगुलेशंस जो है वो सारे उन्होंने अपहेल्ड किए हैं. ठीक है, ओके. सो विल गो इन डिटेल्स ऑफ दिस रूलिंग व्हाट सुप्रीम कोर्ट हैज सेड हियर. यस, मूविंग ऑन. You can see on page number 6, all these articles largely they are not relevant, although the lead article closing the gaps in criminal justice. Yes, too much details have been given. Yes, those having public administration optional subject, they should read this. It is talking specifically of criminal justice reforms. Okay, criminal justice system reforms. The question can be surely asked in public administration optional subject. There can be question in polity and governance part also, but the details that have been discussed, too many details are there. So that's why it is, let's say, very difficult to remember, and UPSC will not ask such questions. Okay, fine. So that's why I will not discuss these articles here. Come to page number 8. On bottom side, you can see government not to supply fortified rice via PDS, public distribution system. So the government, central government is completely funding this program, and this will be implemented in 3 phases. And by the end of 2024, we are trying to achieve, let's say, or give this fortified rice through all, let's say, means of public distribution. Okay, so be it related to Anganwadi, let's say centers, or we can say PM Poshan scheme now, which was earlier midday meal scheme. Later on, it is renamed as PM Poshan, Prime Minister Poshan Abhiyan, or Poshan scheme, sorry, not Abhiyan. Okay, and later on, it will be also provided to ration shops, ultimately. So this will be implemented in a phase-wise manner. Fine, we'll talk about the details here. Okay. Now on page number 9, Supreme Court gives teeth to panel on Mulla Periyar Dam. Day before yesterday, there was one ruling, and there we have seen that the continuation of supervisory committee. Temporary for 1 year, the supervisory committee was continued unless and until, let's say, this National Dam Safety Authority was established. And the central government said that it will take almost 1 year to full-fledged working of this National Dam Safety Authority. Now the Supreme Court has itself given the additional powers as an interim measure to the supervisory body to act as a National Dam Safety Authority. That means all powers under Dam Safety Act to this authority will be provided to this supervisory authority also. ठीक है, तो ये आपको एक फॉलोअप, हम मुल्ला पेरियार डैम का जो भी डिस्प्यूट है केरला और तमिलनाडु में गवर्नमेंट्स के बीच, सो वी आर हैविंग दिस फॉलोअप हियर. So details of that ruling again here discussed. A strict regime necessitated by the experience of abuse, Supreme Court. So it is talking about that FCRA 2020 amendments. So we'll see what Supreme Court has said on specific provisions. Then on top side you can see India studying US sanctions on Al Rosa. Now Al Rosa is the leading diamond company of Russia, and recently the new sanctions by US on this company to let's say exports to different countries. Okay, so this is also leading company for export of raw diamonds to India. Okay, so again it is cause of concern. Why? Because gems and jewelries is very important, let's say, industry for both imports and exports. In economic survey lecture we talked about this. In top 5 commodities, gems and jewelries is there. Stones, precious stones and diamond, yes. तो इसलिए अभी जो है India will look into whether there can be any waiver. 2+2 meeting is going to happen. Okay. Now, first case of XE variant of coronavirus now found in Gujarat. Okay, so let's see what happens about the spread of this variant. Now, center sets up task force to promote animation and gaming. If you remember this year's union budget, so the announcement was there by the government about task force on aeBJP, है ना, animation, visual effects, गेमिंग एंड कॉमिक इंडस्ट्री, है ना, तो उसके ऊपर अभी वो टास्क फोर्स इंस्टीट्यूट किया गया है. सो व्हाट इज द मैंडेट ऑफ दिस टास्क फोर्स, टाइम पीरियड, ऑल दिस एस्पेक्ट्स विल हैव फॉलो अप हियर. नाउ अनदर इंपॉर्टेंट डेवलपमेंट फ्रॉम इकोनॉमी पर्सपेक्टिव ऑन पेज नंबर 11, बिजनेस पेज. RBI to focus on inflation lifts estimates. So here we are talking about the monetary policy committee bi-monthly review has happened. And yes, although the status quo has been maintained on the policy rates, but the RBI has changed its stand, or let's say had given the signal to change its accommodative stand. It is saying that although we are now maintaining the accommodative stand, but in future we are going to change it. We are now going to give preference to inflation targeting as compared to growth. Up till now, the growth was given emphasis or preference as compared to inflation. This stand is changed now. This is directly the message from RBI governor. The second important news is RBI adds standing deposit facility to normalize liquidity. What is this SDF? Similar to MSF but exactly opposite. Yes, marginal standing facility is there, but that is the upper limit that banks borrow from RBI to deal with temporary liquidity measure. Now here as a standing, what is the exact name here? Standing deposit facility. Standing deposit facility means, of course, the banks will deposit their money with RBI. Okay, and that is the lowest rate that RBI will use to suck out the excess money from the economy, excess liquidity from the economy. At present, that is as a part of LAF, Liquidity Adjustment Facility. As a part of that LAF, the lower, or let's say which is the particular measure for taking out the excess money from the economy? Reverse repo rate, right? Reverse repo rate, that is used to take out the excess money from the economy, है ना. एक टेम्पररी लिक्विडिटी मिसमैच जब होता है तो बहुत ज्यादा लिक्विडिटी है तो वो प्रमोट किया जाता है, रिवर्स रेपो रेट. नाउ दिस विल रिप्लेस दैट रिवर्स रेपो रेट एंड इट विल बी द लोएस्ट पार्ट. एंड एमएसएफ इज 100 basis point above repo rate in general, we can say, है ना. So these two facilities will be the extremities of LAF, liquidity adjustment facilities. हाँ, दोनों facilities जो है, ठीक है. So 100 basis point below, not exactly, it may be changed by RBI. It may be changed by the RBI. It is mentioned here in this article. We will talk about that. Just we are understanding the context here. It is relevant to our prelims examination. This kind of facility was first introduced in 2018 by amending RBI Act. Fine. So now we will discuss these articles in detail. Just a moment. Yes, so look at the first article. Supreme Court upholds new restrictions on receiving foreign funds. Let me give you some background here. You should know that there is one particular law regarding, let's say, restrictions or regulation of the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act 2010. Accordingly, the rules have been notified under this act, and the regulation of foreign contribution to NGOs, non-governmental organizations, non-profit organizations and individuals is done. Okay, so we all know the importance of these NGOs, non-profit organizations, especially for the development function. They act as a link between the government and the people. They facilitate the development functions, especially in implementation of government schemes. They act as important, let's say, platforms to hold the government accountable. They criticize and analyze and criticize the government policies, right? So all these aspects you should know about this, the importance of these civil society organizations or NGOs also, right? Now there has been cases in recent past wherein the foreign contribution, foreign funds to these NGOs have been misused. There has been vested interest, there has been conflict of interest, there has been cases of funding to terrorist organizations. So you can give reference to IB report. According to that IB report, many of these institutions are using this foreign funding to obstruct the development functions or development projects in the country. The example, Kudankulam project, okay, and Greenpeace International, जिसको बैन किया गया था उस टाइम पे, right? Also you should know that many of these non-profit organizations, they do not file their tax returns from time to time, and annual reports also. Accounting standards are very poor. So because of that, it is a cause of concern. ठीक है, तो ये बैकग्राउंड लेके गवर्नमेंट ने थोड़े स्ट्रिक्ट मेजर्स लाए थे. In 2020 this act was amended further, and some of the strict provisions like restrictions involving bar on using operational FCRA accounts to get foreign contribution and mandatory production of Aadhaar card for registration under FCRA. They require NGOs and recipient to open new FCRA account at specified branch of SBI in New Delhi as 1 point entry for foreign contribution. One should also know that although this is the point of entry of the foreign contribution, but later on these non-profit organizations can use different bank accounts in different parts of the country. They can transfer this amount and they can utilize for their functions. Okay, but they have to compulsorily open their account here in this specified branch according to this restriction. Now, some of the NGOs, especially during pandemic time, found this, let's say, rules very difficult for comply with. And that's why the petition was filed in Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court now has said that it upheld the amendment introducing this restriction in FCRA, while upholding that no one has the fundamental or absolute right to receive foreign contribution. It is not part of constitutional or fundamental rights, right, to receive the foreign contribution. So it is not part of any fundamental right in the constitution. That's why a very strict manner the Supreme Court has said that no individual is entitled or no organization is entitled to receive such kind of foreign contribution without regulation. Yes. In a judgment that may hit non-governmental organizations working at the grassroots level with no direct link to foreign donors, the court reasoned that unbridled inflow of foreign funds may destabilize sovereignty of the nation. Okay, so sovereignty of the nation, this was the argument given by the government while bringing such restrictions. Sovereignty of the nation is, let's say, at stake here. Like for example, Kulam protests that happened, or if we are talking about, let's say, if the funding is happening with certain vested interest. So if they are having certain vested interest, means the decision making of the government is being influenced. So sovereignty of the government is at stake. Sovereignty of the country is at stake. Okay. Then if you are talking about permitting inflow of foreign contribution, which is the donation, is a matter of policy of the state backed by law. This is what the Supreme Court has said. It is a matter of policy, and of course the parliament is the place wherein all the matters related to policy making are done. This is the highest authority. The Supreme Court has upheld about this. Also, the apex court said the intervention by the lawmakers was intended to arrest the high volume of inflow of foreign funds and uphold the democratic values. Democratic values, in this particular case, we are talking about transparency and accountability. Okay, the transparency in the working of these NGOs, especially in the accounts and auditing practices, if we are talking, so that is major concern. If we are talking about the accountability, then we should also understand whatever the funds they are receiving, they should be proactively giving that information on their websites. ठीक है, तो वो नहीं हो रहा है. That's why some compulsion is being made. Also, they should be filing the tax returns from time to time. This is part of accountability. Okay, also having appropriate audit standards. They should follow the audit standard. A huge amount of funds are flowing from these organizations, and such foreign funds, when they are entering into the country, and if the government do not know for what purpose they are being used, then it is major concern, and that may be used for by the non-state actors against the government to destabilize the country. ठीक है, तो ये आपको पता होना चाहिए कि क्या बोला है सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने इसमें arguments. Okay, also one should understand that this regulation process to some extent is tedious to comply with. It will take some time, but ultimately all NGOs will comply with it. ये पैंडेमिक की वजह से प्रॉब्लम हुआ ना कि दिल्ली के ही ब्रांच में आपको ओपन करना है, ये सब करना है. But yes, over the period of time, if the regulatory process is streamlined, then of course it will reduce the hurdles. ठीक है, तो yes, in this manner you should know. In
the prospect of quality and governance, it may affect our governance process also. It will affect us. So we need to change our self-regulations. We need to compromise some regulations also if we want to fund from the foreign countries.
No, we are not compromising here.
But if you want to survive some organization for benefit purpose, our regulations also we need to change in a particular time.
We are not regulating or simply understand, we are not restricting foreign funds. You are getting this wrong. We need not to, liberalize the regulations or something like that. Simply we seek transparency and accountability from these NGOs, like any other private companies also. Are you getting this? Up till now, the private companies, government, everyone is having accountability, but not the third sector. जो बोलते हैं ना हम कि थर्ड सेक्टर, सिविल सोसाइटी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, एनजीओ जो होते, उसमें कोई भी स्टैंडर्ड्स नहीं है अभी भी, ठीक है? बी इट लीगल स्टैंडर्ड, बी इट मोरल और एथिकल स्टैंडर्ड्स ऑल्सो. वी लर्न दिस इन एथिक्स ऑल्सो. I was going to tell you this part as why we have said GS 4 ethics part. Okay, so one should know that it is part of ethics in international relations. Why? The ethical issues or concerns. So Ansari sir explains this in classroom. In international funding. This is very important. Okay, there was one case study in 2014 or 15 related to exactly FCRA. Okay, let's say you are a person who came to India after working out, you are, let's say, Indian national, you want to open your NGO, but there are so many hurdles to open your NGO, regulatory process is there. ऐसा उन्होंने frame किया हुआ है UPSC ने. So you look into that case study. Okay. And what are the questions asked in that case study?
One more thing, sir. India has been dependent more funds on the non-organizational sectors. It may give the good image or bad image on international ones.
If we
depend on more funds, Western funds organization, it will give a good image to India.
No. See, simply understand that any developing countries requires some kind of funds. Especially in country like India where the population is large, development needs are very high. So for that purpose, such, let's say, foreign contribution, foreign funding, grants, that is good thing. No, it is aiding the development process, because government is always in deficit for the funds, always. So it is aiding that, no. And the international institutions are for that purpose only, like World Bank is there, or development financing institutions are there, right? Or philanthropists are there, right? Like Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, right? So there are many such, Ford Foundation, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is there. So if they are willing to contribute, then that is good thing. Okay, this is aiding, but yes, that contribution should be done in a transparent manner. At the same time, that should be in line with what government seeks outcomes, policy outcomes. अगर government चाहता है कि health हमारा अच्छा हो, and if that foreign contribution is largely happening in other sector, then that is not good. ठीक है, that should be in line with policy outcomes targets. ठीक है, जो targets है उसके हिसाब से होना चाहिए. Yes, so that is completely separate topic as ethical concerns in international funding. Sometime else we will discuss that. Even Ansari sir in ethics class, in classroom, in test series very well explains about the different ethical concerns about this. Okay, fine. Supreme Court gives teeth to panel on Mulla Periyar Dam. So day before yesterday there was news that the 1 year extension has been given to supervisory committee of this Mulla Periyar Dam. Why? Because the central government said that it will take almost 1 year to constitute and fully function the National Dam Safety Authority. Okay, National Dam Safety Authority. So that's why the similar kind of functions as an interim measure has been given to this supervisory committee. Okay. So this is good thing. Now Kerala and Tamil Nadu were directed to nominate one technical expert each to committee within 2 weeks. At the same time, bench ordered both to comply with panel's direction as regards the safety and operations of the dam. ठीक है, तो सारे जो भी powers and functions है under Dam Safety Act for this National Dam Safety Authority, the similar kind of functions and powers are given to this supervisory committee, but that will be interim measure for 1 year. Once NDSA, National Dam Safety Authority, will become functional, then there will not be problem. Okay, so that will completely replace this existing supervisory committee. Fine? Okay. Yes, all adults to get precaution jab. So we are talking about the third vaccine, let's say dose to 18 plus population, adult population. So government has agreed, and this will start from 10th April, from tomorrow onwards itself. And all those who have completed 9 months after second dose would be eligible for it. Okay, so the same vaccine they will receive. ठीक है, दूसरे कंपनी का वैक्सीन नहीं आप ले सकते हैं, सेम वैक्सीन मिलेगा आपको थर्ड डोज में. ठीक है, फर्स्ट टू ऑल्सो दे हैड सेम, थर्ड ऑल्सो द सेम. फाइन. द सम ऑफ द फैक्ट्स एज अ फॉलो अप. नंबर ऑफ वैक्सीनेशन, फर्स्ट डोज 99.42 crore, second dose complete 83.73, and third dose you can see 2.29 only. So third dose was allowed to those 60 plus population. Okay, and this is very small number actually, and now the adult population is also allowed. Now government not to supply fortified rice via PDS. One should know that. What is fortified rice?
Fortified minerals.
Which minerals especially? है ना, वो गोल्डन राइस है ना, तो वो है बायो फोर्टिफिकेशन. आपको प्रोसेस पता होना चाहिए. Also one should note the difference between fortification and bio fortification. What is the difference?
Fortification is before harvesting it is done, sir. Fortification after harvesting.
But before harvest what they are doing?
They will grow the seeds in the biochemical process.
Fortification, yes, that is correct. After harvest they are mixing certain kind of minerals in the food grains itself. That is fortification directly. Okay, so that will enrich the food grain with certain minerals, additional minerals. That is fortification. Biofortification is basically you are changing the gene setup only through bioengineering process. Okay, so GM or we can simply say that genetically modified. So any kind of food grain we are talking here. So that is biofortification. There are different methods of biofortification. In one of the ED lecture, I guess it may have covered in recent past. Right. So now that fortified rice will be provided through the PDS shop, and why it is being done?
Because of hidden hunger.
Very good. So we are talking about hidden hunger or micronutrient deficiency. ये वर्ड्स आंसर में लिखने चाहिए. Yes, to deal with the child stunting, child wasting issue that we are facing in the country. Although we have almost covered the, let's say, zero hunger target that we are having, sustainable development goal number 2. We are reaching to that, but zero hunger means basically we should also focus on hidden hunger. For that purpose, government is taking measure. Okay. Yes, so government approved the distribution of fortified rice across government schemes such as PDS, nutrition services for school children, Anganwadi beneficiaries. Now, it will be completely funded by central government. Okay, so and the target year is 2024. It will be implemented in 3 phases. Which are the 3 phases? First phase, which is at present being implemented, that is Anganwadi centers under ICDS and PM Poshan, which is renamed the earlier midday meal scheme. Okay, so this was slated to be achieved by 2022 itself, March 2022, but it is still under implementation. The second phase will cover targeted public distribution system and other welfare schemes in all 291 aspirational districts, as well as districts with high burden of stunting by March 2023. So the next target is aspirational district which are there, and then also having high incidence of this child stunting and wasting. And lastly, all districts will be covered and that PDS aspect. Okay. So in final phase, remaining districts of the country will be covered by March 2024. Food Corporation of India and state agencies are engaged in the procurement of fortified rice. Okay. Then Center sets up task force to promote animation and gaming. So as announced by Finance Minister in this year's Union Budget, there will be task force on aeBJP. Okay, so now the government has let's say set up this task force headed by Information and Broadcasting Secretary. The task force will submit its first action plan within 90 days. Okay, it has representation from industry, academia and state governments. Okay, so aeBJP, animation, visual effects, gaming and comics. This is being considered as sunrise industry, having huge potential for employment generation and contribution to the economic growth. You can see here, like ministry has said, that it has potential to become torch bearer of create in India and brand India. Directly use such statements in your answers. India has potential to capture 5% of global market share by 2025 with annual growth of around 20 to 30% and creating over 1,60,000 new jobs annually. This is statement by Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. Okay? Yes. Now, the mandate here. What is the mandate of this body? The body will frame national aeBJP policy. Then recommend national curriculum framework for graduation, post-graduation and doctoral courses in aeBJP related sectors. Then and facilitate skilling initiatives in collaboration with academic institutions, vocational training. Okay, so policy making, then curriculum making and skill training. इसके ऊपर ज़्यादा focus रहेगा. Okay? Yes. RBI to focus on inflation lifts estimates. Okay, so there was bi-monthly review by Monetary Policy Committee and therein the status quo has been maintained for the policy rates. Although there is signal by RBI through this bi-monthly review that the preference will be given to inflation targeting over, let's say, growth. Okay, at the same time, it will focus to withdrawal of accommodation to ensure that inflation remains within the target going forward. Up till now, the accommodative stance was taken by the RBI to promote the growth. Okay, but now the RBI is saying that this accommodative stance will be withdrawn so as to focus or limit the inflation. We know that in January month it crossed 6%. The CPI crossed 6%. This is the highest, let's say the higher boundary that for the targeting purpose MPC maintains. Yes, 6.1 was let's say inflation or CPI at that time. At the same time, the revised estimates by MPC for the next financial year is that for quarter 1 6.3, then it will reduce 5.8, 5.4, 5.1 revised estimates. Why RBI has revised the higher scale of this let's say inflation? Due to sharp increase in crude oil prices, edible oil prices, wheat prices and the cost of feed, which has pushed the prices for poultry, eggs, dairy products. This is the reason for higher estimation. Fuel and food prices. Okay, so this is, we can say, the main reason. RBI adds standing deposit facility to normalize liquidity. This is important measure, especially to take out the excess liquidity money supply from the economy, so as to again target the inflation. Excess money supply leads to inflation, higher inflation rates. So excess money supply will be taken out, and for that purpose this facility once again introduced by RBI, standing deposit facility. It is the tool to absorb excess money from the economy. You can see here the STF would be at 3.75%, that is 0.25% below repo rate and 0.5% lower than the marginal standing facility. So at present, marginal standing facility is 4.5%, repo rate is 4%, and this will be SDF. We know that repo rate is at 4%. This MSF is 4.5%. This SDF will be 3.75%. Okay, this will replace the lower benchmark under LAF. What is that? Reverse repo rate. Okay, so that will be replaced by SDF facility now. Reverse repo rate was one of the facility to take out the money from the economy. है ना? Yes. So SDF has its origin in 2018 amendment to RBI Act 1934 and is an additional tool for absorbing liquidity without collateral. Okay, now there is a minute difference between this LAF facility and other facilities to influence the money supply in the economy. And what is that? Understand this. Access to SDF and MSF will be at discretion of the banks. Unlike repo, reverse repo, OMO, that is open market operations, and CRR, like cash reserve ratio, which are available at the discretion of RBI. This can be asked in prelims examination. Okay, so MSF, SDF, they can be on call. If suppose bank requires money, or let's say bank needs to, wants to deposit the money with RBI, with the SDF measure, so that is call by the banks themselves. Okay, but whenever we talk about repo rate, reverse repo rate changes, or OMO market operations are there, done by RBI, or CRR changes, that will be done by RBI from time to time, looking at the liquidity situation in the economy. Okay, so this difference you should know. MSF and SDF, they are by banks themselves. Banks themselves means अगर बैंक को चाहिए, जैसे MSF हमें पता है ना कि marginal standing facility is for like overnight let's say liquidity mismatch is there. हाँ, तो उनको बहुत जरूरी है, कोई एक बैंक को बहुत अचानक से mismatch हो गया है उनका अकाउंट में. So immediately it will call RBI and they will try to take some kind of lending from RBI at MSF. है ना? तो उसी तरीके से बैंक जो है वो कुछ एक्सेस मनी है उनके पास, अगर वो डिपॉजिट करना चाहता है RBI के साथ, तो वो थ्रू दिस SDF facility they can do. Are you getting this? Okay. Now, what should be answer to this question? Yes, online students, you also give answer to this question. Yes. So we are talking about the standing deposit facility, but we have to find the incorrect statements. We have to find the incorrect statements. So what should be the incorrect statements? Let's see which are these statements. It is tool available with RBI to inject liquidity in the economy. Okay. We have to understand here that SDF facility is not to inject the liquidity. Withdraw the liquidity, take out the money. So this is incorrect. It replaces the earlier marginal standing facility. No, right? Rather it is the another extreme for this MSF. MSF is the higher side, and that is used to inject the money largely, while this SDF will be used to withdraw the money. ठीक है, दोनों का purpose अलग-अलग है. So this is also incorrect. We have to find the incorrect statements. So both statements are incorrect here, right? So that's why both 1 and 2 is the correct answer. Okay, out of 100 questions, UPSC generally asks such kind of command in 2 to 3 questions. Not many questions, but 2 to 3. And as they are very less, it tends to, kind of create, we tend to miss them, the command here. Because majority of them are asking the correct statement, ना? तो वो inertia होता है माइंड में कि नहीं देखना है हमें कमांड, वो नहीं पढ़ना है, ठीक है, या फिर करेक्ट ही होगा टाइप का. और बीच में कहीं तो भी वो नॉट करेक्ट या इनकरेक्ट पूछते हैं. वो नॉट करेक्ट वाला भी हम मिस कर देते हैं. नॉट भूल जाते हैं, वो करेक्ट दिख जाता है हमें, क्योंकि हम वही कमांड पढ़ रहे हैं ना बार बार. Right. Even in test series in the institutes, lastly they provide such kind of command, correct, and suddenly one non-correct will be there. So this is what they are checking here. Okay. So again, I am telling you, read command twice. Okay. Yes. So fine. Any question from your side? Which website?
Sir, it is required 100% is food grains, for example. All over the India is only generating 80%, but 20% is deficient. If you take as a measure one website, which district is going to be generating how much quantity, they uploaded themselves. Automatically over the country, it will display how much quantity is coming outside. That website is maintaining around. Because I see totally one MR office is going to be surveyed in 2018, sir, but they are not.
Okay, so see, internally government itself maintains that data. Okay, ministry. Okay, so ministry itself is maintaining that data. Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Commerce, these ministries are maintaining that data. How they are maintaining that data? Simply the amount of food grains that are coming to market. Not on the production level. They are not reaching to the farmers, each and every farmers. Of course, they know from the survey that amount of net sown area is there. इतने क्रॉप के अंडर अभी ये रबी क्रॉप्स रबी सीजन में इतना ये जो है सोन किया है व्हीट, ठीक है, बट दे ओनली नो अबाउट द यील्ड और द प्रोडक्शन व्हेन दैट अमाउंट कम्स टू द मार्केट, बी इट लेट्स से रिलेटेड टू गवर्नमेंट FCI गोडाउन्स और द प्राइवेट मंडीज. There itself the collection data is collected.
But in every MR office, one post is this assistant statistical office. Main duty to over the mandal area, whatever the how many acres is there, they need to upload the mandatory data.
No, about production or
whatever the production and whatever the cultivation in the present land.
Yes, cultivation related data may be there, but how they are calculating that production level? Farmers, they do not know about this.
Each MR, in mandal, sir, they have the 25-35 VROs. VRO, at least within 3 months, they will correct 1 or 2 days data. So within 1 week.
But that data, how they are calculating that data? When that food grain is coming to market, no?
Yes, both are there with that. They know the data, but they are not displaying in the website.
Yes, they are not displaying. That is directly going to the government. Okay, it is not in domain, public domain. Okay, the holistic data is there at state level and central level.
If it will be displayed, it will be your good transparent. Food deficiency and food surplus.
No, government knows now. That is fine. Okay. Okay, any other question? Fine, let us stop.